Hello friends, it's the morning, just about. It's been a pretty chaotic morning, mainly because of this one. I had a plan for today and I'm not going to stray from my plan, even though it's later than I wanted it to be. And you may have guessed, but my plan is to do a 24-hour reading vlog. I have a few reasons for this. One is that I have a few days off, so I can recover from any trauma I do to my body today. And the second reason is that I'm struggling with reading at the moment. That's not to say I'm not reading, but I'm not finding myself being as gripped by books as I have been in the past. So I want to give myself 24 hours to kick that feeling in the butt and just get really invested in some books. So I'm trying to set myself up for success, and I have gathered a selection of books to give a go in the next 24 hours. To start with, I'm 50 pages into Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. I've heard mixed things about this, and quite often that means I'm going to like it. So this is going to be the first read of the day, but I have so many other things set up to get me through. I have a couple of more horror-y type books to choose from in case I want something a little bit more thrilling, a little bit darker. I have a couple of, well, a graphic novel and a manga in case I want something really fast-paced and really quick. I have a couple of short story collections in case I just want to dip in and out in between books to see what a short story can do for me. I have potentially my most anticipated read in the form of Apprentice to the Villain, which I'm hoping I'm going to really enjoy. And I have a novella audiobook, which I am 17% into, of Elder Race, which so far I'm really enjoying. So hopefully, no matter what mood I'm in, I can pick up a book and get into it. This is a 24-hour reading vlog in that I'm going to film and read over the next 24 hours, but I'm old. I'm not going to stay up all night. That's not a thing I functionally can do anymore, for I am old. Old and decrepit. No, it's more of a, how much can I read in 24 hours if I make reading my priority? I'm probably going to stay up late. I'm probably going to wake up early. I'm probably going to do like the minimal amount of sleeping, but I am going to sleep and you cannot take that away from me. So it's about 11:15. I have a few things that I do need to do today. I need to go for a run. I need to get some groceries. I need to do some housework, hence the audiobook, because the audiobook is going to keep me company while I achieve those things, so I don't actually have to stop reading while doing them. But we're just gonna give it a go. See how much I can read in 24 hours, see if I can get the number of books I've read this month up, because so far it is the 14th and I have only read 2, and that is fine, but it's below my average and I don't want that trend to continue throughout the month. So we're going to brute force some reading today, try and find some stuff that I really like and go from there. So I think it's time to start the timer. Are we ready? That's 24 hours. I'm going to start with Midnight is the Darkest Hour.
Get me midnight, you whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine. Don't wanna overthink it, baby.
Oh, that's close to my face. If I go here, then it blocks the light from behind me. There's just under 22 hours left. So I think I've been reading for about 2 hours. I feel like I should have prefaced this video. Like, I'm a slow reader. I'm not going to be able to get through a million books today, but I'm hoping for 3. I'm hoping to get through 3. I think that's 3 or 4. That's the goal. So I've been reading Midnight is the Darkest Hour. I'm 46% of the way through. I feel like I should tell you about it. So it takes place in this very religious town in Louisiana, and we're following the daughter of the Reverend, and right at the beginning of the book, a skull is found in the swamp there, and it has evidence of murder. And so far, basically what we're figuring out is who that was, how that relates to the main character, how it impacts the town, that kind of thing. But that mystery is very much like backseat in this book, and actually the big kind of main plot line is about her friendship with a kind of outcast of this town, a boy called Everett. And so there's a lot of jumping back and forth from present day when she's 23 to various points in her past where she had either big life events or meaningful interactions with him, and we're discovering their friendship and why it's so important to them. Both main character and Everett are like pretty weird people. They both have their fair share of trauma. They both have felt like they have to hide their true selves from the community and only get to be their real selves with each other. And that is kind of an interesting premise. It's not quite as fun as I wanted it to be, but it is getting a bit insane. It's turning from like a small town drama into something bigger, more sinister, more criminal. I don't know. It's quite easy to read. There's quite a lot of points where I'm like, ooh, I like what she did there. Something I heard about going into this book was that there's a lot of Twilight references, and someone who has never read or watched Twilight, that felt like a pretty big turn off for me. But actually so far it's only been mentioned like 2 or 3 times, and it's mostly content that everyone would know, so it doesn't feel like I'm missing out on some huge plot point because I haven't read Twilight. So that's all fine. I'm not mad at that. The main character makes like fucking stupid decisions all the time, and you kind of understand why, because of her upbringing and the way she's been treated by her family and the community and all of that kind of stuff. But like, I just want her to be smarter. I want her to make decisions, even if they're like morally great decisions, even if she's not choosing like the righteous path forward or whatever. I want her to make decisions that don't feel stumbled across. I want her to kind of take charge of what's happening to her and what's happening in her life, instead of just being kind of along for the ride with whatever anyone else is planning for her. And I mean both her family and the community, but also Everett. Like, he just makes these plans and makes these decisions, and she's just like, yep, gotta do what he says, gotta go along with him, gotta follow this plan. And I just want her to make a decision that feels like her own genuine choice rather than something she's being led towards. I want her to take more initiative in her life and have more power over the outcomes, I think. But maybe that'll be the character development we see throughout the book. But I'm going to take a break now, and I'm going to listen to Elden Race for a little bit while I have lunch, do some chores, and just like move around a bit. I've been sat for a couple of hours and I'm ready to move my body a little bit, get some muscles going. I don't know. I'm gonna put on my headphones and listen to my audiobook.
The undoing of evil magics and the salvation of the realm. And so she'd gone herself, after that closeted council meeting. She'd spoken with those same emissaries, heard their wild stories. She'd tried to piece through their panic to...
I don't know if you can hear her. She's chewing an antler to keep herself entertained. So I had lunch, and I decided instead of going for a run, I'd go for a nice long walk. Took the dog, Let's see where we are. 19 hours left. So what, that's 5 hours down, and I have finished my first book. I listened to Eldon Race on the walk, and there was only a little bit of it left when I got back, so I finished it. I loved it. I feel a bit emotional about it. I feel like I should explain it to you. So it's this mix of fantasy and sci-fi. It's about a princess who goes to a sorcerer to seek his help to battle a demon that's taking over some of her lands. And when she gets to him, we start getting chapters from his point of view. And it's revealed from his point of view that he's not actually a magical being. He's just a human from a planet where they have made much more technological progress. So all these things that he's doing that she perceives as magic, he is actually just using technology. So he's there really to study her people, to understand them, to watch them, and so it goes against his kind of instructions to interfere with anything that's going on. But because of his history, because of her history, he agrees to go with her. And so it reads like a fantasy story, right? They're traveling across lands, they're coming up against things that they don't have an explanation of. They are interacting with people of different races, different historical backgrounds, different abilities. And from her point of view, it's very much a fantasy story. From his point of view, there's all this science fiction weaved into it. And so it's this really interesting kind of dual story of science fiction and fantasy. It's also a very human story. He is potentially the last of his kind. He hasn't heard from his home planet in hundreds of years. He was left there alone and so has lacked meaningful human connection for a long time. And that plays a big role in the story, and I think that's the bit that I liked the most. The quest element was kind of just like any other quest in a fantasy book. Like, there's an evil, they have to go fight the evil, and they have trouble along the way, and they get out of trouble and get into trouble, and there's different things they have to navigate. But that human aspect of the story, the one where he's dealing with all his emotions and she's having to deal with all the... What are you doing? What are you doing? Where she's dealing with all the expectations of her as a princess. I really liked that. I think there was a lot packed into quite a short book. The audiobook is only like 4 hours long, and I just really enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. I'm going to save my ratings for tomorrow. Let's see if you can guess. See if you can guess what I rated it. I'm going to go back to reading Midnight is the Darkest Hour. I feel a little bit sad about that because I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed the audiobook. So there's a part of me that's like, God damn it. I need to go back to something that I didn't have as much fun with. But that's okay. I'm just going to give it a go. See what happens. Finished book 2. This was fucking wild, man. I'm trying to think of what I can like compare it to. Okay, if you liked the romance in My Dreams I Hold a Knife, this is similar. If you liked the stupidity that was Survive the Night by Riley Sager, I think you could like the stupidity in this. Maybe this was great. Loved it. It's so fucking stupid. How far are we in? Let's look at that, shall we? How much of my life did I dedicate to this book? Okay, there's 16 hours left. Can you see that? 16 hours, which means I've been reading for 8 when I finished 2 books. That seems kind of about right. It's like just past 7, so I think we're going to start heading into the I'm tired section of the vlog. But to get through it, I need dinner. I think I'm going to read this manga next. I just want something kind of light, and this looks light to me. Something easy. Look how beautiful this is. Look how beautiful that is. I'm gonna take the slightest break just to eat dinner, make and eat dinner, and then I'll come back and I'll read this, and then we'll see what I'm in the mood for. I feel like this challenge is just making me realise how slow a reader I am. I thought I wasn't too bad, but like I've read the equivalent of 400 pages in 8 hours, which means I read like 50 pages an hour, and that is not a fast speed. That is pretty slow. I just lied. I've read 600 pages. I've read 600 pages in 8 hours. Maybe that's not so bad. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a slow reader or not. It doesn't matter if I'm a slow reader. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Yeah, we'll discuss after this what I'm going to read next, but I'm sure it'll be a fun time. I will talk to you in a bit. We have just under 14 hours left to read stuff. I'm like, 14 hours, maybe I sleep 4 of them. That's 10 hours left to read books. Can I get another 2 books read in 10 hours? I feel like that should be doable. I read this, I liked it. It's very sweet. So the premise is you've got Hiroto, and he's a very sweet boy who doesn't care about anything. Not in a fuck everything kind of way, but in a like, he doesn't let things worry him. He's very carefree, he's very easygoing, and very happy-go-lucky. And he inherits a house, and his cousin comes to stay with him so she can go to art school. And that's basically it. That's basically what happens. You meet his friend, you learn about his life, she starts art school, he accidentally pisses someone off. It's very like easygoing. There's some very pretty artwork. I'm gonna see if I can find my favourite. This one of them just like running in the rain. I thought that was really lovely. I'm trying to decide what to read next, because being the old person that I am, I'm starting to feel tired. So I want something quite easy to read, but I also want something that I think I'm gonna like a lot, so it encourages me to stay up late and read it. So I'm gonna gather my options. Okay, I have 3 options. We talked about Apprentice at the beginning. They're all sequels, they're all romance, and they're all cozy. So I feel like that tells you the kind of mood I'm in. We have Apprentice to the Villain, sequel to Assistant of the Villain. We have Sincerely Secretary of Doom, which is sequel to Welcome to Fae Cafe. And we have The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, which is sequel to The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I feel like this will be the easiest to read because it's a real world setting, but the first book was my least favourite of the 3. Welcome to Fae Cafe was my kind of middle favourite, but for a long time it was very like low plot, and then all the plot happened right at the end. So I wonder if this will be gripping. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do Apprentice to the Villain. I'm worried that I'll like get too tired and that I won't enjoy it as much, but I think it's the right mix of stuff. It's cozy, it's fantasy, it's slow burn romance, and I think it will be fast paced enough to keep my attention. It's the puppy's bedtime, so we're gonna turn off the lights and get comfy cozy and read this and see how it goes. I'm tired. It's midnight. I have 11 hours left. But I am 106 pages into Apprentice to the Villain. I feel so old. Like, my battery's dying. What was I doing? Yeah, I feel really old. I swear it used to be easy for me to stay up all night and just like not even notice. But I'm struggling. I'm enjoying the book. It did make me realise kind of how much I'd forgotten about the first one. There's a lot of kind of smaller, they're not smaller, but there's a lot of kind of plot points that I'd just absolutely forgotten about that appear to be very important to the overall story. The vibes are very similar. Evie is still very sunshine, and the villain is still attempting to be a moody dickhead, but doesn't do it very well, I don't think. It's nice to see Evie like embracing her villainous side. I don't know how much longer I can stay up. My plan is basically to read until I fall asleep. But I hope it's gonna be at least a couple more hours until I do. I'd like to get to like maybe 100 pages left in this. How long is it? 337. Yeah. So I'd like to get to at least 200 pages before I fall asleep, and then try and wake up early to finish it, and then read one more, probably novella, before the 24 hours is up. I'm gonna edit them out, but I cannot stop yawning. The thing is, I know I've read like I read the last Crescent City book in a day. I just sat down and I read it, and so and that was getting a normal amount of sleep, right? Like that was just the day when I was awake. That wasn't me purposefully trying to stay up or purposefully trying to wake up early. It was just my normal day when I had a day off. So it feels a little like disappointing that I haven't finished 2 full-length books yet. I'm struggling. Like that just feels a little bit underwhelming, doesn't it? If I think about it like page count wise, it's about 700 pages in, plus the manga. So that feels a little bit more reasonable, considering I started this at like 11. So I'm just gonna keep going and then try and wake up early, and then as soon as I'm done, have a nap. That's my grand plan. I hope you approve, because I think it's a glorious plan myself. I have gotten to chapter 52. It is just past 2 o'clock in the morning. I have 9 hours left. I think I've gone past the point of where I would normally be tired, so I feel surprisingly awake, but I'm gonna make a choice for my sanity and just sleep for like a couple of hours. I'm trying to be like smart here, and my theory is if I sleep for a couple of hours and then wake up, then I'll want to get back into the book. Whereas if I finish this book and then have a nap, I'm not going to want to pick up another book. That's my theory. I also think if I let myself be tired, then I'll probably go to sleep. I am enjoying the book. I feel like I should give you that as an update. I am enjoying the book. It's not giving me 5-star feelings. It's a solidly fun read. I guess I'll just speak to you when I wake up. Whenever that is. Oh, that was unattractive. Look at that. Look at that. Neck squidge. A side chin. Oh, a jowl? Is that what that is? A jowl. Yeah, I would say in the morning, but it's already morning. But yeah, I'll talk to you when I wake up. I wish I was just I'm not going to talk about that. Okay, I woke up at 5. I turned the camera on. I fell back asleep for 20 minutes. I woke up at 20 past 5, got footage of me waking up, and then promptly fell back asleep. It is now 5 past 6. I have 5 hours left on the timer. I have coffee and I'm gonna get back to Assistant to the Villain. It was actually the noise of the battery running out that woke me up this final time. Which feels like something I shouldn't admit. But now you know. Now you know. I'm gonna get back to it. Oh, it's making noise. Can't have that. I finished Apprentice to the Villain. It just got better and better. Like as the book went on, very happy with how that went. But I only have 2 hours left of the challenge, and I don't think I'm gonna get a whole book read in that time. So I decided to pick up the short stories by Ali Hazelwood, so that I can at least review like a full short story with you. I've had breakfast, I got dressed, I have my second cup of coffee, and everything is right with the world. It's actually light now. Can you see all the sun hitting my face? Isn't it glorious? Should I tell you about it now? Oh no, I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you about it when I've read it. They're quite chunky short stories, like, you know, some can be like 10 pages. This one is 122. 30 pages in. I was listening to the audiobook while I was getting ready. I love the Ali Hazelwood audiobooks. There's something I think about her writing style that is very conversational. The sentences are structured in a way that is like when you talk, and it's very funny when it's read aloud, especially when it's read by someone good, which so far all the ones I've tried have been. It's very easy to listen to. It's not confusing at all, but I am gonna swap to the physical book because I feel like it, because I want to. That's the whole reason. So I'll talk to you when I finish this story. The one I'm reading is Under One Roof. It's just the first one in this book, and so far it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It is later. It is, in fact, weeks later. I've just been editing the footage and I was like, oh, never finished that video, never explained what I was doing in the last part of the video, never went back to some of the thoughts, and now, boom, gone, completely gone. No idea what I was going to talk about. So I thought I would just do a quick wrap up because the video is already 32 minutes long and I don't want this to be much longer than that. So this is going to be a quick fire wrap up. I'm going to go through what I finished in that order. So I started with Elder Race, which I kept calling Elden Race, but is Elder Race by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's one of my favourite novellas I've ever read. The mix of sci-fi and fantasy was really accessible to me as someone who doesn't read a lot of sci-fi. It felt like something that I could understand and made sci-fi feel a little less intimidating to me overall. Next was Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. I gave that 4 stars in the end. I don't think it's a book for everyone. I don't think everyone would enjoy it. In fact, I know people who haven't enjoyed it. So this isn't a book I would recommend widely. But for a stupid fun time, I liked it. Next, I read Hirayasumi, which I gave 3.5. It is the most slice of life manga I have ever read, and I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought the art style was beautiful. I thought the characters were very lovable. Very little happens, and I think this might be something where you have to read quite far into the series for there to be a significant amount of plot. I would continue in the series. I think that just as something quick and easy and lighthearted, it was very good. I then read Apprentice to the Villain. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. I think there is a world in which it could have been a 5, but I don't think the best job was done at reminding the reader of what happened in the first book. So there were reveals that happened which could have been really entertaining that just kind of felt a little bit underwhelming because I didn't remember the plot from the first one. Maybe that's a me problem. Maybe I have the worst memory in the world, but I would have appreciated just a little bit more help in remembering some of the more important aspects of the first book. I then had 2 hours left, so I picked up Under One Roof by Ali Hazelwood from the Loathe to Love You collection. I have since finished the collection, and I will say all of the stories are very typical Ali Hazelwood. Lots of miscommunication, lots of, oh, he's so big, I'm so little. Lots of inexperienced sexual encounters that seem to go remarkably well. If you like Ali Hazelwood, I think you'll like them. I gave the whole book 3.75. They were a good fun time. None of them were groundbreaking. None of them kind of went outside the box, so they were exactly what you'd expect. But I was hoping I think for it to have been a 4, it would have need to have done something just a little bit more surprising. And then I had like 20 minutes, half an hour left. So I just picked up Heartstopper Volume 2. I gave it 4 stars. I like Heartstopper. I'm not sure it's meant for someone of my age. So everything is a little bit simple and cutesy, but I enjoyed it, and I literally just finished the story when the timer went off. So that was the last book that I finished. So in the 24 hours, I listened to most of Elder Race. I read almost all of Midnight is the Darkest Hour. I read the entire of Hirayasumi and Heartstopper and Apprentice to the Villain, and I read the first novella in Loathe to Love You. Am I pleased with that? Sure, why not? It added a whole bunch of books to my read pile. It got me to read some things that I might not have gotten to for a while. I got to have a fun time for 24 hours. I really had a fun time. I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. I thought it would be more of a miserable experience, but I actually had a really good time. I've been considering doing another one. If I have a chunk of time off work, this is something I would definitely consider doing again. So if you want to see that, let me know, because I had fun and I read a lot of books, and I don't think there's much better things you can do with your time than having fun and reading a bunch of books. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for being here.